Good morning. Almost 10 o'clock. Rise and shine, everybody. Hope everyone have a good Monday. It's time to get into your Tuesday. Good morning to, see who we got here today. ZK. Jeff is on X. Hey, Jeff. Hello, Weather Geek. Hello, Les. Good to see you as always. Hello, Rue. And Edward is on Facebook this morning. As always, you guys can comment on the social media side of things. And if you're watching on streaming, you're wondering who I'm talking to, that's who I'm talking to. But if you want to chat there, you can. Or if you just want to be a lurker, that's fine. You can just watch off to the side. All right, we have a lot to cover today, and that's what took me a second to get everything put together. So I'm going to try to get through as much as I can. Let's hope it makes sense. That's a whole other ordeal in itself, right? All right, let's start with the snowboard, which what I've decided to do with the snowboard, it's basically the same. I just decided to group things together because if I didn't, we would end up with 2 pages of a snowboard. Getting to that time of the year. I still feel that this is going to be the core of winter. I think what is about to happen over the next couple of weeks here, maybe a little longer, is going to be the main show. Anything after that would surprise me, but at the same time wouldn't surprise me, but it would be a little bit more of a one-off, a little briefer in nature for future weather events, winter weather events, I should say. I think this is going to be the one that's going to fight the most. So let's start with how we're going to put our toes in the water. And this will start as early as Thursday. All right, so we got the rain in the area. I meant to put Wednesday, actually. I don't know why I put midday Thursday. Anyway, it's midday tomorrow. We'll start to get some snow showers that will be mixing in with some of the rain and going to all snow showers by the time we head into tomorrow afternoon and into Thursday. And another round moves in on Friday, another round Saturday into Sunday, and maybe another round even on Monday. I'll explain with the maps, but they're all light. I'm talking a 1/4 inch for one, 1/2 inch for another, maybe 1.5 inches on one of them. Nice. And then back to a 1/10 of an inch on the other. So when you add it all up, yeah, you could end up with a couple of inches of snow on the ground by the time the weekend is over if you get hit by each one of these, which is not going to be everyone. A lot of you will get at least one of them. Maybe some of you will get 2 of these little rounds of snow. And if you get more than that, then you'll be bragging about it when I talk to you guys on Monday. But I think as of right now, it's going to be very light and scattered over the area. Travel issues can be manageable just because they will be light snow events. So as long as everyone takes it slow out there, especially once we get a little core into the weekend and it stays below freezing, I think the entire weekend will be below freezing. The ground is going to freeze up despite the 70s and 60s we've had. Yeah, that'll be erased. So we're going to freeze up this weekend. So as we get future snow events throughout the weekend time period, more issues will start to develop. All right, and school's already out on Monday, so that's easy. I can go ahead and say that school will be out on Monday. Okay, so what happens after that? Well, that's where things get even more interesting down the road, which leads to some of the other issues that you'll see there on the board, which I'll come around to in just a second. First off, outside, let's talk about the good news because this is the last warm day we're going to have. I use the term loosely, but warm-ish day we're going to have for a while. Now, we may get up there into the 40s, maybe touch 50 or so down the road here, but it would be with rain and an active storm situation. So not exactly the type of mild weather you'll be able to look at the window and enjoy. So keep that in mind. I already see the high clouds overhead. The wind is about to ramp up here too today, especially once these clouds start to fill in a bit more. Not sure why I'm in such a wide view there on the radar. Let me zoom in. That gets you over to our neck of the woods. All right, you can see those high clouds. Hard to tell because the image is now just being lit up by the sun. There's quite a bit of cloud cover here, right? Now, this is what's interesting is the boundary itself is already very close to I-64. All it needs is to have enough lift to allow for the showers to pop on the radar, and they're going to, and it's going to be rapid here this evening when they do pop. What is interesting about it is that some of you may already have the boundary past your house by the time it does develop rain. So you may get skipped on the rain today and may just go straight into the snow shower machine that'll be in play for later on tomorrow. But let me show you how this is going to work out. Let's get right into the maps. Again, pay attention to where you're at. There's Louisville. I always have to do this wider view for those that are trying to travel at all in the region. But this is the Louisville Metro here. The thicker cloud cover is what we're going to be watching. But again, as I advance this, you'll see how the showers are going to just break out. So we get to about 5 or 6 o'clock today. The wind should be easing back down after being gusty this afternoon before the clouds take over. Once the clouds take over, stage is set, rain begins to pop. And it's going to be right there along, very close to really I-64. I've seen some data a little further north, some a little further south, but it will develop right over us, the band of showers. And this is where I was talking about that if you're in Indiana especially, it'll develop to your south. This showery area will continue to hold on through midnight and then slowly but surely sag to the south as we head into Wednesday morning. That's a long duration, right? That's a good 12 hours of a very light rain. Once it forms this afternoon, it'll be there all night into early tomorrow, especially across Kentucky. We get into about this time tomorrow. Now we're dealing with it getting colder to where we're starting to get some grapple or even some ice pellets, eventually going over to snow as we get into the afternoon, but we'll be above freezing. So we're not concerned about travel issues here for your Wednesday afternoon. All right, roads will be wet, no problems. We get into later Wednesday night and Thursday morning. The snow machine backs down, so we're not getting as much action because a lot of it was attached to the front. So we're not going to have as much snow. In fact, we may even clear at times, but the problem is we're going to be really dropping here into the low to mid 20s. So any icy patches that can develop will become a problem. So be careful later Wednesday night into early Thursday. Notice our streamers there. These are the snow bands coming off of Lake Michigan. Talked about this yesterday. Aiming toward a very common spot, Cincinnati. Typically, in the way low pressures move in our area, when we get that backlash flow, just because of the angle coming off the lake, it tends to aim towards Cincinnati. Typically, to get something, one of the streamers to aim straight down 65, you need a different orientation of the low to bring that wind straight down. We've seen that happen before. I've seen it go all the way down to Nashville before from Lake Michigan, which is pretty impressive. This one's going to be an impressive one because the lakes are not frozen over. So they have plenty of fuel to feed these snow showers over long distances. So if you're traveling at all in that area of the country on Wednesday night and Thursday morning, you'll drive eventually through one of the lake effect snow bands, even this somewhat far south. Pretty cool. All right, that will continue into Thursday. You saw how persistent it was. I mean, it was just nonstop. I mean, this can put down, I would say, about 3 inches of snow may fall in that feeder band in a very localized area. Pretty wild. Okay, we get into Thursday. Our next system rolls in. This is late Thursday night and Friday. This one looked more impressive last night when I was about to leave the station. A couple of the high-res models are really potent with this wave diving into the area, which would be an advisory level kind of snow for late Thursday night and Friday. It's backed off a bit on that today, but it's still early. It's only Tuesday. So this one's a little sneaky. It does have a nice little kick to it. So if it kicks back up in today's runs, just be aware that that may be an issue for Friday morning if this little short wave can fire back up again, because we will be certainly cold enough for it to stick and certainly cold enough for road problems. So needs more time in the oven. Fair enough. All right. So it moves on by, and that's where the high-res modeling begins to stop. And then we get into the weekend setup. Overall, this map I used yesterday, same idea applies. It's just really one wave after another, after another, after another, after another, like the movie Groundhog Day. And it's just going to lead to widespread, varying accumulations, but overall light. And some of you will get the very low end of the scale, and the very low end of the scale, by the way, is nothing. Hope it's not you, if you're a snow lover. Some on the higher end of the scale, I would say on the higher end, probably about 3. I don't see it getting over a 4-inch snow, like a winter storm warning kind of setup. I think 1 to 3 is going to be a common range that we're going to see when you combine all of these snow events. Maybe the exception will be that streamer ban, though, in Cincinnati. So I'm trying to exclude that from the conversation because it's a whole different ordeal. But you get the idea. Any questions on that before I get into the long term? I started my roast today, Crispy says, just in case I need a surprise week of food. Well, you should always have a surprise week of food, even if it's not going to snow. Travis, 2 polar vortexes in 2 weekends. Yeah, we'll look at that on February coming up. Everyone's always way ahead of me. Yet if I didn't talk about these little clippers and went straight to the big kahuna, I would hear about it from you all. So I know better. Good morning, Cheryl. How you doing, Cheryl? Hope all's well. Most of you guys are having a conversation with yourselves, which is fine with me because, you all answer your own questions. And you've been most of you been deputized to handle a weather conversation, so I'm not too worried about you. Does it look like any big systems in the future? Jeremy, well, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's where we're going to go next. So we've got this cold Arctic setup here. This is the polar vortex stretching its legs into the eastern United States. That's why we're getting these repeated rounds of light snow that come into play. And as long as you have this type of configuration of the polar vortex diving in the eastern United States, most of what you're going to get is indeed going to be light. It's clipper land. For snow lovers, it's good and bad. Good in the sense that it will keep snow on the ground on a near daily basis, and you can still get around. Bad in the sense that snow lovers, true snow lovers anyway, want the kind of snow that they don't have to go to work for like a week and want to play in the snow a week. But some of us have to go to work, so I get it. It's always mixed views on snow. Snow's very controversial. Not as controversial as many topics these days, but snow is one of them. Here's a look at the Euro. I'll show you this as a tool. Give an example. Again, you see how deep these shots of cold air are from the polar vortex. I mean, this is straight coming across polar flow from the Arctic right into our backyards. I mentioned the weekend probably wouldn't get above freezing. There may be a few days, even early next week, it'll be a fight to get above freezing. So, I mean, we're going to be frozen solid here, guys. Even if we don't get a lot of snow, we're going to be cold, 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 cold. Wind chills easily around -5 to 5 above will be a common range on a lot of our wind chills. If we get an inch on the ground out of this, those numbers could be lower. So, yeah. So make sure to bundle up, cover up the ears. I got big ears, trust me. Got to cover those things up. Not just one, but both of them. And as we head down the road, there's another little clipper for Tuesday and Wednesday. That one may stay north. But you see what's happening to the jet. At least I think you caught it. Let me back up. Let me rewind here. Look at the configuration of the trough. There it is. And now look at it. What stood out to you in that jump? Power outage, thank you, AV. 3.5% of Jennings County. It's about 508 customers there in Jennings County. Just came down. Let's see. Did anybody catch it? What looks different here? Because this is very important. How much snow are we talking about Saturday, ZK? It'd be light. They're all clippers, so all of them will be light. They will all be light. Been lucky so far. The snow went last year, a couple of big snows. Yeah, the snow in December wasn't too bad. It was a blend of the warm and cold season, so it wasn't too bad. Moving northeast, Jeremy says, well, yes, to an extent. The trough angle was more like this, right? Almost like a box diving straight down. Once we get into the end of next week, that changes. The box now looks more like this, a little more slanted, indicating a flatter flow to the jet stream. It's not as diving down and deep of a trough. And that is important because now we need to start paying attention to what's happening here in the Northern Plains and central Canada. And as I advance this, you'll see why as we get into the very last frame of the model. Now you see how the cold air is diving now into Kansas, Oklahoma, and into Missouri. Everything else has been diving straight down over us. Now we're seeing the cold center a little more west. Just like a seesaw effect we were talking about yesterday, you tilt up the one end, you're going to tilt up the other. That for us means that we're going to tilt up our side, is going to go upward. That also means warmer air. But as I've preached several times on here, in order to get the kind of snow you guys really, really want, you got to get warmer air. That's what holds more moisture, and that's about the only way you can get out of the Clipper land. And this signal has been around for a while. It's been a strong signal. It's consistent. I think that Euro so far has been leading the way, but GFS is catching on. But I think this is going to be one to watch as we head toward the end of next week, as this is a great recipe here for a low pressure to develop into the southern plains. You get what we call a very tight baroclinic zone where we're going to have very cold Arctic air that has been in place, arriving really in a sense tomorrow, but arriving all weekend and gets reinforced at times next week. So it's going to be cold and the ground's going to be frozen. And now you're going to start throwing in moisture from the Gulf over all this. So it's a classic winter storm signal and an overrunning classic winter storm signal. And overrunning is something you probably don't want to know about or hear about, because that also means ice. So let me show you what the Euro looks like if I were to extend it out one more frame. This model ends on this frame. This is what it looks like if I were to advance it. Let me show you the full screen. And I'm showing you this. I don't like to always show the one snapshot of a model run like that in the future, but it has been consistent on this look, so I think it's fair. It will keep looking like this. So you got your low pressure developing. You've got your tight. All these black lines are close together, indicating a very tight baroclinic zone. And the overrunning's happening. The pink or the red is sleet and freezing rain. In many cases, it's freezing rain. And then very heavy snow. I mean, very heavy snow. Right at the point you go from freezing rain over to snow. And you can tell, maybe you can't, but as of right now, Louisville is like right there in the middle of all that mess. Now, is this model right? Good question. I doubt it's going to be exactly like this, because there are a lot of little smaller factors that can completely change this outcome. But I do think we're going to have a substantial storm system form. I do think we're going to have Arctic air that's going to be in play. I think we're going to have quite a bit of warm air flowing in. I think it's going to look like this. I just don't know where will we fit into that equation, and more importantly, how strong each of those factors are. The high is really, really strong. Then this overrunning is going to be just pure ice flowing into many areas. If the Arctic high is not very strong and this overrunning scenario is really powerful, then we skip all the frozen stuff and we go straight to rain. Heavier rain, maybe some thunder. So it is a very touchy subject in these overrunning scenarios. But boy, it is a classic look. And right after this, we do get back into the trough again that dives in with more Clipper land coming our way. Pretty wild stuff, right? So we'll see. Here is the matrix. I got several to show you today. So here is the, let's see, this is going to be the Euro ensemble. This is the one that hovers over the day on confidence. Look at the confidence for this weekend. Pretty high, right? Almost everyone is filled in, but they're all light. The confidence is high on light accumulations. We get into next week, it sees the little clippers that may try to deposit something. It's not sold on that. But then we get into that overrunning scenario, and it's just now starting to see it. But notice they're not really gray. They're all kinds of colors, because it sees that this has a lot more moisture to work with. So if it's cold enough, you're going to get some wild looking numbers. This is going to change a lot in the coming days, but the storyline is laid out for us already. Let me show you what it looks like on the GFS. GFS is, again, one that once it plots it, it stays with it all the way through. So it's hard to look at the date and match it. But look where the colors change, and that gives you an idea of when something will happen. So in this case, the blues and the purples ramp up here. Well, the date for that is about the 17th and 18th. Looks like another ramping up happens through here. which should be roughly about the 20th through the 22nd. It cannot see, by the way, it cannot see the bigger one at the end. It cannot see that far out. So we'll see in the coming days. Once it's able to see it, what does it show? Here's the new long range Euro all the way through, can you believe this? The end of February. My goodness. And this is lit. It is busy, 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 busy. A lot of activity for end of January into February showing up. Several storm systems. Some could have a kick to them. Yeah, I like the way the look on that is. In fact, I was looking at the CFS model, and it was showing this is snow on Valentine's Day that's on the ground. This is not snowfall. This is what is on the ground Valentine's Day. And I backtracked it, and when I did, we start to get snow. Whoops, sorry about that. We start to get snow on the ground in this pattern we're in this weekend into especially next week, and it doesn't go away until Valentine's Day. So that's why I'm saying that this could be a very core of winter here, of some harsh, cold weather that may stick around for a couple of weeks. This is typically our time period that we're always on guard anyway, into January, into Valentine's Day. And this year looks like, at least based on the data I'm seeing now, it looks to repeat once again, or at least rhyme in its pattern. After that, I don't know. I don't know how that'll play out, because we're going to start flipping things, a lot of different things around once you get more into March. But at least the next couple of weeks into Valentine's Day, I think is going to be, it's going to be busy for us. So start thinking about your winter gear. If something broke during the warm spell period you need to fix from the December snow. You need a new snow shovel. Maybe yours is a little loose or broke. That kind of stuff. Get all that stuff taken care of now. Nothing major. Don't make a major purchase. Just little things, ice scrapers, something like that, that you realize you may need a little more of and you didn't get for Christmas. Time to get everything just all ready to go. Get your kits in the car, that kind of stuff. So there you go. That's the way it's looking here, guys. This is going to be rocking and rolling here. And let me stress, this is going to be painfully slow on how this all evolves, because I'm looking way out into January. We still got to get through all these 10 days first. So there's a lot we're going to be talking about every single day of these little bitty clippers. But at the same time, the pattern in the long term is always going to be on my mind. And we will talk about it every day with an update. But there's a lot happening on a daily basis too. So it's not like that's the only thing that we're going to be talking about and tracking. So bear with us, because we're going to be just taking it one step at a time and just seeing how this evolves. A lot could easily change. This could, evolve into a warmer scenario at the end, end up being rain. I doubt it, but I like right now the way the data is showing the trends. I like what it's doing, because I've seen it happen many, many, many times over again here, and it fits the pattern, fits the blocking setup. I have no argument with it. I just don't know the specifics yet. All right. Everyone good? Any questions that I can try to answer? Because obviously I can't answer them all yet, but at least want to give you guys a big heads up. Snow no good. Well, remember, you'll get your 90-degree days coming up in the summer when it's 95, a heat index of 102. We're all sweating. Trees are turning brown. We're like, man, you remember when Bigo was talking about the snow and those clippers coming down? It always bounces out. This is the time of the year, though, I love. It's a lot more exciting. All right, guys, I'm going to end it there. I think you all get the point and the gist of it all. What I'm going to do is keep an eye on this clipper for later on tomorrow afternoon into Thursday, and the one on Friday. I'll be monitoring these in case there's any travel issues that may develop as we get colder. Otherwise, I think we just need to really just keep in mind the wind chill factor getting to near zero times. Just make sure you're ready for that. It's going to be really cold here the next several nights ahead of, especially into the weekend. And we'll do the worrying on the end of the month ordeal on how that will play out. Fair? I think that's fair. Totally fair. All right. You guys take care of yourselves, and I will see you all coming up on the flip side on midday. Take care, everybody.